I need to hit 100 platinums by the end of the year, and if I fail, we'll have to delete my PlayStation account forever, losing all my saves, memories, and of course, the 72 platinum trophies I already own. And for the first time ever on this channel, I'll be taking on 2 games in a single video to celebrate the release of the upcoming movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, I went with 2 very obvious choices for this, 2015's Deadpool and the 2009 cult classic X-Men Origins Wolverine. But there was one big problem. I couldn't find these games anywhere as they weren't available digitally on the PlayStation Store and no longer sold in any shops physically either. So I had to go to eBay, where I ended up spending over $130 on each game alone. A few weeks later, I finally received both games in the mail, and I immediately got to work with each one having 51 trophies apiece, for a grand total of 102 trophies. So we're not gonna waste any time, and we're gonna kick things off with everyone's favorite merc with the mouth. And it didn't take long before I got my first trophy for completely shutting it. From there, I jumped right into the story on ultra violence difficulty, where we find Deadpool at his filthy apartment, as he just got the news that he'll finally be getting his very own video game, and of course, we get to play it, followed by 2 trophies back to back after simply getting up from his chair. Seconds later, I got another trophy for whipping up 1,000 pancakes, because why not? I then explored the rest of Deadpool's apartment here, and you guessed it, got another trophy, this time for checking out everything from his beer-loaded fridge to his blow-up doll. Hey, making a game. Another trophy. Play with Deadpool's junk. That does not sound right. Once done there, we were off to find the media mogul Chance White, who Deadpool had been contracted to kill, as we headed through a sewer system, eventually breaking into his movie studio, where I would get surrounded by a ton of his goons. And after taking them all out while scoring a combo of over 40, got our first combat-related trophy of the game. Now, I did have an opportunity here to grab another trophy in this section of the game, or getting up to the boardroom in under 5 minutes. But because of how hard the game was at this stage, I would have to come back later and grab this one through chapter select. This part is driving me absolutely nuts. Continuing on with the story though, we made our way up floor by floor until finally cornering Chance and beating him repeatedly all the way back to the sewers down below. Amazing. Where he was then escorted out by a couple of D-list supervillains, unlocking our next trophy for completing the first chapter of the game. We chased them down until running into Arclight, and it's here I botched another trophy due to the extreme difficulty of the game, where I had to beat her without getting hit by her slam attack. I don't think I got hit by it, but I can't tell, dude. Did I get the trophy? No? Did I fuck up? And sadly, after taking her out, it wasn't long before I botched yet another trophy, where I had to flip a couple of switches and kill some really tough enemies in under 60 seconds. No trophy? Again? Oh, it's because I'm supposed to defeat the 2 phasers. That's why. Yeah, I'm clearly not strong enough for that. We're gonna have to do that in chapter select. Thankfully, the slump didn't last long, when a few minutes later, I made it to the sewage slip and slide, where I had to get completely through it without hitting a single gate. And while it was definitely a challenge with my awful hand-eye coordination, I eventually got it done and scored another trophy. Hey, you guys! Got it, baby! Take no damage on the water slide. Oh my god, that was such a pain in the dick. After this, we were introduced to the main villain of the game in a pretty crazy way, Mr. Sinister.
You are no longer any use to me, filthy.
But...
Oh! Ooh!
There goes our contract.
Hey there, Captain Douche. You know, I don't appreciate you killing my target before I could. Now I need to collect from your sorry ass.
Should I be incredible?
What the hell?
Oh my god!
Come, Blockbuster. Genosha awaits.
Later, we teamed up with a few X-Men, including Wolverine, Psylocke, Rogue, and more, before Deadpool crashed the jet, ruining the plan completely. It wasn't all bad though, as we got our next trophy for slapping Wolverine around for about 2 minutes afterwards.
I guess he's not waking up.
Curious.
Looks like we're flying solo.
Let's try this one more time. Let's go. Slap Wolverine a bunch of times. I love these trophies, man. From there, I pushed on through Genosha until running into the man out of time. Hey, Cable. This game, dude. Hey, curious about Cable. Let's go.
I need you to listen closely. I've time traveled from the future.
Oh God, here he goes again.
The survival of Earth entirely depends on... the critical part.
It's so boring.
Oh my god. Following that, we were off to find Deadpool's biggest fan, which of course was a complete scam. But at least we got our next trophy for quietly taking out 4 guards in the process, before finding Sinister's location and, even more importantly, the Wheel of Insanity. Here, I had to pop every balloon and murder a cow to unlock yet another trophy. And I gotta say, I miss getting trophies for doing the most random shit in video games. You don't really see that anymore. Continuing on, we platformed our way up through this massive tower and finally confronted Sinister.
Nothing you do will stop my master plan.
Oh, so then you wouldn't mind if I played with this?
Wait, what are you doing? No, don't touch that!
I don't know about you, but...
He gets a freaking DJ outfit on too. This is amazing. Why did I wait so long to play this?
What does this one do? Oh, diagonal time.
What?
Was that the big problem you needed help with? Because I just took care of it.
Wait, that wasn't...
Seriously, roll credits. We're done here.
Hey, that's it. All right, we beat the game.
That wasn't Sinister! That was a clone!
Now back at square one, we continued on through the level, grabbing parts for Cable and our next trophy for finding 100 tacos along the way, followed by a massive shootout that ended with our next chapter completion trophy. After all that chaos, we began the next chapter hanging upside down with Rogue in a maximum security prison until falling all the way down and losing her to Blockbuster. We pushed through this new level to find her until reaching the funniest part in this entire game to me.
Hang out here often?
Dude, seriously?
I'm gonna sing the pee-pee song.
Nice dick. The old lizard since... Okay, I get it. Never break the guy code again.
This is amazing. Following that, I once again botched another trophy because in my entire playthrough up to this point, I had been trying to reach the 300 combo and got so close here, getting all the way up to 296 before running out of enemies to hit. Clearly upset by this, I had to go wind down, and lucky for us, Deadpool finds a club packed with some beautiful ladies. Surely it has to be real this time, right? Wrong. But hey, at least we got another trophy for mingling with every girl there, before missing out on yet another one shortly later, where I had to traverse this toxic swamp area without falling into it one time. And the worst part, you can't reload your checkpoint to try it again. Honestly, as someone who is terrible at platformers, this would be one of the hardest trophies for me to obtain, so we'll come back to this later in the video in our post-game cleanup. Picking up the story yet again, we finally find Mr. Sinister and grab another trophy here for taking out his goons using every melee weapon before offing Sinister himself and seemingly beating the game for real this time, even grabbing another trophy called Game Over. But once again, this was not the case, as it was just another clone. So we pushed on, grabbing our third trophy here, Game On. We then had to take down Blockbuster to save Rogue, resulting in Deadpool actually getting a kiss and us getting to play as her in this last fight of the chapter. And after clearing out the enemies here, got our next story trophy. Hey, Lady Deadpool, like, let's go. The next chapter, we ended up in some temple ruins and met Deadpool's long lost love, Death, who needs his help stopping Mr. Sinister's plan by finding 3 magical statues. We took the left path first and quickly secured another trophy here for opening up 11 treasure chests in the darkness. Then it was off to the right path to grab a couple more, one for patiently waiting in line here at the carnival, which was harder than it looked for our guy Deadpool.
Oh my god! Who let one rip? Oh god! The smell! Yeah, boy! And a
Oh, another trophy. Patience is not a virtue. And the other for getting the high score in this insane shooting game. Oh, officially a carny. Get the high score at the carnival. Let's go. After that, we were automatically given a pirate hat, and after finishing the chapter with it on, got 2 more trophies back to back. Now in Genosha again for the last leg of the game, the hunt for the real Sinister continued. I cleared out every goon here until finding another bathroom, and after picking up all the loot there, got our next trophy. Then minutes later, I unlocked another trophy for blowing up this fax machine. Again, really love these pointless trophies. We would eventually run into a room filled with enemies in the ultimate superhero superhero slow motion Matrix moment. And after taking them all out in under 10 seconds, secured yet another trophy. We then hopped on Deadpool's ridiculous bike and made our way to the final area of the game, unlocking the next story trophy before taking it on. Now in the last chapter, the difficulty here quickly spiked as the game threw absolutely everything at me that you could think of. This also caused me to miss the next couple of trophies here for making it through the floating platforms without falling off and getting a 75 combo on the stairs. It also didn't help that I was dealing with some really annoying stick drift on my controller, so you can probably guess what I had to do next. Oh my god, this goddamn fucking controller, man. After grabbing myself a new controller, I pushed on, and even though I wanted to give up, I couldn't stop now as I was already so close. We made it to the final area and had to take on what felt like 1,000 enemies. And I took this opportunity to farm out some Deadpool points and another miscellaneous trophy that I was still missing for killing 15 enemies with cooked grenades. Then after securing enough points to purchase my last player upgrade, got another trophy. All that was left to do was take down Sinister and the rest of his clones in a fight that would take me over an hour to finally beat. But it was worth it as we secured 3 more trophies in a row, one for completing the chapter and the others for beating the game on both veteran and ultra violence difficulties. With the story complete, it was time for our post-game cleanup and challenge mode trophies. I started by replaying chapter 1 and grabbing the trophy we missed earlier for getting to the boardroom in under 5 minutes, which on the easiest difficulty was an absolute cakewalk. Or run in this case. A short time after that, I upgraded the final weapon to net another trophy for maxing out every gun, sword, and hammer in the game, until pushing through this level some more and once again running into our rematch with Arclight, where again I had to avoid her slime attack or risk restarting it all over again. Give me that trophy. Woo! Catch me if you can. God damn it, that was so easy. From there, I moved on to the next room, flipping every switch and taking down every enemy required for the trophy I missed earlier against Vertigo. Next was the trophy I dreaded the most this entire run, which again required us to get through the toxic swamp without touching it a single time. I absolutely struggled on this, having to redo the chapter completely almost 5 times. And the worst part, it took about 30 minutes to reach the swamp each and every time. Oh my god, man. Fuck. This trophy, I suck at platforming, man. So you can imagine how much pressure I was feeling at this point. I'm so nervous. My heart is racing. Yep, make it. Okay. No. No way. Oh my god, I almost fucked up on the easiest jump of them all, dude. Oh my god. Thank you. Oh my god. With that complete, sadly, we weren't done with platforming just yet, as I now had to do the same on the final chapter with the floating islands. I also took this opportunity to get a few more trophies too, as we also had to beat this level using only swords and pistols and not die a single time. I started by getting the floating islands trophy done first, which was a lot easier than the swamp. Then I went on to beat the rest of the level without dying and only using my swords and pistols, unlocking 2 more trophies back to back. But even with all that, I wasn't done with this chapter just yet, so I restarted it completely and went for the last 2 trophies here. One for dying 10 times on the floating steps, and the last for hitting a 75 combo without getting interrupted or dying. It's a trap, we got it. Oh my god, what a pain that was, dude. Speaking of combos, next up was the 300 combo we still needed to hit, but I ran into a massive snag here, as I was way too powerful in killing enemies long before I could even come close. So with the help of Google, I found the only area of the game where I could completely cheese this and finally get this trophy done. With that out of the way, I now just had a few chapter related trophies left before moving on to challenges. One for beating the prison level without countering a single time, and the other for reaching our fangirl in Genosha using only hammers and pulse rifles. Done. We were now just 4 trophies away from platinum, and they were all locked behind the challenge mode, where I had to take on waves of enemies and defeat them all within a time limit and without dying. And while this was definitely a challenge at the gold tiers, it was nothing compared to what I just went through on ultra violence difficulty. So I made quick work of it. The first trophy I got here was shields up for completing a gold tier while countering at least 25 times. Then a few levels later, I got the trophy cold-blooded for completing a combo through an entire gold tier wave. All that was left to do was grab the last of our 5 gold medals. Let's go, gold rush, baby! Which means Platinum. Okay, you can sell the game now. That's actually the perfect name because that's exactly what I'm gonna fucking do. I'm gonna try to get some of my money back on this. I had fun with Deadpool, but it was definitely a 7 out of 10 ass mid game. It was okay, not worth $140. It was now time for what ended up being my favorite game of the two, X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was the rare case back in the day where the video game based on the movie was actually better than the movie itself. And while some of my biggest gripes from the film, like how they massacred the portrayals of both Deadpool and Gambit, are still here, the game was insanely fun regardless, with a very different trophy list compared to Deadpool. You see, where Deadpool was more focused on doing random things, Wolverine was more like the Uncharted games with various combat trophies for getting a certain amount of kills using different attacks. With that said, let's jump right into the story that kicks off with a bang with Wolverine being hunted in the distant future. We then pick up the story years earlier in Africa where Wolverine's chopper gets shot down, and it wasn't long before I unlocked the first trophy of the game for performing a counter. From there, I continued on through the level while picking up every dog tag I could find. These would serve as the main collectible of the game and will get us 2 trophies later in the playthrough if I could find them all. But there's a catch. The game does not feature any kind of tracking system for these dog tags. So if I missed even just one of the 95 total, I would pretty much have to collect them all over again on the hard mode playthrough to figure out which one it exactly was. We'll see later in the video if I indeed fumbled the bag here. Continuing on through the level again, I got my next trophy here for lunging at 25 enemies, and another one moments later after finding a mysterious hatch that also added another dog tag to our collection. Then after taking on more mobs of enemies and learning how to do quick kills, I unlocked the trophy for it of the same name. And it wasn't long before I got the first overall kill trophy after taking down the first 100 enemies. Picking up the story again after a massive boat chase sequence, Wolverine gets cornered by a bunch of enemies until Sabretooth saves him. From there, we flash forward a bit to the present day as Wolverine runs into Sabretooth at the bar. And it's here we realize at some point the relationship between them fell apart. We then took on Sabretooth in this first major boss fight of the game, where I got another trophy for impaling him outside. After getting him down low enough, it was clear at this point Wolverine was no match for him. Oh!
I was better at this part than you. Now, where'd your old lady get to?
Oh no. A short time later, we were now in the Weapon X facility where we made quick work of all the soldiers here and got our next trophy for quick killing 3 enemies in a row. There it is, perfect killer, let's go. Before running into some assassins later and getting another 2 trophies, this time for executing 25 counters and the other for performing 10 air grabs. Yo, aerial assault, already got that one too, nice. And the trophies didn't stop there. As you can probably tell by now, I was going out of my way to get these combat trophies done as soon as possible, tacking on another for executing 20 quick kills and 1 more for jumping on the back of a Wendigo. From here, there was 1 trophy I had been trying to get for the longest in this playthrough so far, where I had to kill 6 enemies with a single attack. And that's because for the most part, a lot of the enemies here were too staggered and way too far apart to hit with a single spin attack, which was the best way to get it. But after reaching a room where I saw 6 guards come out of the same doorway, I finally saw the opportunity I needed to finally grab this trophy after only a few checkpoint resets. Yeah, baby, slice and dice, got it. Shortly after that, I got the next 2 combat trophies pretty easily. One for lunging at 100 total enemies, as I had been spamming this since I unlocked the ability in the first chapter, and the other for deflecting a missile after running into the first Grenadier enemy. Later in the playthrough, I found a Samurai Mudigan that would come in extremely handy for the grindiest trophy later in the video that required me to max out all my combat reflexes a bit faster, which you level up through defeating certain enemy types throughout the game. These Mudigans act as buffs for Wolverine that do everything from up his damage to upping the amount of experience I would get per kill. So for this trophy hunt, I definitely had to take advantage of these, especially on our hard mode run coming up. I'll touch on that more when we get to it. In the meantime, I continued pushing my way through what was the longest chapter in the game and worked on even more combat trophies along the way, unlocking another one for killing 10 enemies using the environment. Yo, Environmentally friendly, got it. Before reaching the end of this facility and another set piece where we had to jump from car to car to escape the oncoming flood. After finally making it out, we unlocked the trophy Spillway Escape. Unfortunately, the Wolverine gets knocked unconscious in this escape, and we travel back in time yet again to Africa for the next chapter of the game. And it was business as usual as I made my way through the level, taking out what felt like hundreds of enemies at this point, until reaching a tower we were ordered to destroy. Now, I took this opportunity to get yet another combat trophy, and this was the funnest one so far, as I had to throw 10 enemies out of this tower to unlock the trophy Drop Dead. After blowing up the tower, we woke up again back in the present day and had to escape the soldiers still hunting us down. We ran through this giant snowy area, grabbing another 4 combat trophies along the way for defeating 30 guards using the environment, killing 200 enemies using feral senses, killing 500 enemies in a single playthrough, and the last one for lunging at 250 enemies. Yo, there it is, done, finally. From there, I reached a bridge I had to cross while getting chased by a helicopter and having to take on dozens of enemies, eventually getting shot and buried under some rubble. Once out, I ran into more ghost type enemies and off them using their own shotguns, where after taking down the last one, got the trophy Shotgun Epic Fail, until finding a cave that was home to an Easter egg some of you might recognize. This also unlocked yet another trophy for us, obviously called Wow. Later, after finally making it to the end of this level, I had to take on 4 Wendigos. Now, while normally you can take them on one by one, which is a lot more manageable, for this specific trophy, you have to take them all on at the same time. So the best way I found to go about this was to chip away at each one before releasing the next. That way, when all 4 were attacking me at the same time, I only had to do a little bit of damage to each. And needless to say, I botched this plan completely, but with the help of a special someone, got it done eventually. Brother, do your charged attack. Why do you keep doing that? Oh, that works. Give me that trophy. Do not bug out on me. Yes! Ultimate Wolverine, let's go! We got it, Bella! With that massive boss fight finish, I had to take on 3 or 4 helicopters next in one of the coolest set pieces in the entire game, and after wrapping that up, the chapter was finally done and we got our next trophy, Helicopter Ride. Following this, the story took us to Africa yet again before bringing us back once more to the present day in another facility. And it was here I finally got halfway done collecting the 95 dog tags, unlocking the next trophy for it afterwards. And according to the guide I was following, I wasn't missing any so far up to this point. We'll see later in the video if it stays that way. We then run into an old friend of Wolverine's, Mystique, and she needed our help getting Wraith out of the prison here. So we pushed on some more, later finding a secret room that was home to a cake, unlocking the most Deadpool-like trophy yet, called, you guessed it, the cake. We then ran into a scientist who unleashed his prototype mech on us, and after making quick work of it, Wolverine sliced off the scientist's hand, and with it, we now had access to the lower levels of the facility. Thanks, man. Helping hand. Oh my god. We then made our way down, unlocking our next trophy, Slaughterhouse, along the way for dismembering over 100 enemies, before finding the 3rd Moodigan in a set, unlocking our next trophy eventually. What the hell just happened? Oh, there we go. We then traveled back in time yet again to Africa, where I finally got the trophy Blender for killing 200 enemies with a claw spin. And this one felt like it took forever because it was just so underpowered. Luckily, I wouldn't have to do this for every special attack and only had to get 150 Berserker kills after this. Now back to the story once again, we took control of the Sentinel arm to take out the remaining guards and the Sentinel's own head, which allowed us to finally find Wraith and free him from his cage, followed by some very awkward PDA.
You be careful, Miss Darkholme. That's my son you're carrying in there.
Huh? We then had to make our escape, but got stopped by a massive Sentinel in a fight that started on the ground but would end up in the air. Where I had to dodge deadly debris flying at me and get through a metal ring for our next miscellaneous trophy, Thread the Needle. I just got it. I didn't think I got it, dude. After finally taking down the Sentinel for good, we also got our next story trophy. And the action didn't stop there, because immediately following that fight, we had to take on the Blob in a supermarket. We also had another opportunity here for another miscellaneous trophy, where we had to completely clear out every shelf, table, cash register, everything. Doing this took about 12 minutes and was the most boring trophy yet between both games. But we eventually got it done, and after taking the blob down, got a trophy for that too. The next chapter began at the casino, where Wolverine would find my favorite X-Men character ever, Gambit, who he questions for the location of the island that Stryker's hiding in. Side note, this part bummed me out because I'm a massive Gambit fan, and they truly massacred my boy here. Hopefully he gets the live action treatment he deserves one day in the future. Regardless, one thing led to another, and we took on Gambit in a fight that would continue throughout the entire level. And along the way, I would secure yet another trophy here called Bloodlust for killing 50 enemies while in Berserker mode, before cornering Gambit in our next major boss fight. There we go, finally, man. Oh, there we go. And then two pickup. Now in the final chapter of the game, we're back in Africa for the last time and experiencing the hardest enemies the game had to offer at this point. I made my way through, eventually getting to an area filled with over a dozen enemies, and it was here that I was finally able to get the trophy I had been chasing this entire playthrough for getting 6 enemies in the air at the same time. And shortly after that, I got the last Berserker kill I needed for the trophy Weapon X. Once every enemy was taken out, the last Africa section of this game was finally complete, unlocking the trophy, the village. Back in the present day again, for the last time, we made it to the island and immediately had to deal with another onslaught of enemies, where after throwing one into a flammable pipe, got the trophy Hot Potato for lighting 20 enemies on fire. Then came the moment I was waiting for the whole game, our last dog tag. I picked it up not knowing what to expect until it finally happened. Let's go! Later, we finally confronted Stryker and had our long-awaited rematch with Sabretooth, where I completely wiped the floor with him after having almost all of Wolverine's skills maxed at this point, where after taking him down for good, turned out the story wasn't quite over yet, as we now had to take down the absolute embarrassment and terribly designed Deadpool. Seriously, what was Fox thinking when they did this? How could you think stapling his mouth shut and having him fight in pajamas was a good idea? Look, it's bad, but at least Deadpool was redeemed with now 3 great movies. Sadly, we can't say the same for Gambit. Back to it again, we took on Deadpool in a 3-phase fight that was honestly the hardest in the entire game. But after a few tries, I got it done and unlocked the trophy, the Deadpool. And with that, the story was a wrap as Sabretooth escaped and we got treated to the final cutscene.
Logan.
Hey, how about we talk about this at home?
Oh! Oh!
Like us, don't get to go home.
Maybe you should turn that gun on yourself.
Oh!
Just leave.
No!
You always wanted to forget what you did. But if you do ever remember me, remember, I always loved you.
I walked a hard road since way back then.
I'd heard you took an adamantium round through your thick skull. Guess you don't remember. Pity. I plan on doing some very bad things to you. So much better if you remembered why. Guards! Guards!
Oh!
Sure as hell didn't work out like we planned. That doesn't mean giving up. This world may be broken. I've got just the tools to fix it.
Now with the first playthrough done, hard mode was finally unlocked and we needed to beat the game on this difficulty for platinum. But before that, I jumped into chapter select to farm the last few trophies we needed there, with 2 of them being tied to maxing out our combat reflexes by defeating certain enemies over and over again. And after maxing out the first and only a couple of chapter replays, got the trophy Apprentice, followed by a bonus trophy here for finally deflecting 25 missiles. The rest would not be so quick though, and I strapped in for what would be almost 4 hours of gruesome farming, doing the same missions over and over again. But eventually, one by one, I would get each category done here and secure the grindiest trophy in the game. That had no reason to be that fucking grindy, dude. While going for this, I also unlocked the trophy What I Do Best for killing 2,000 enemies and fully loaded for maxing out all of Wolverine's upgrades. With only 2 trophies left to go, I jumped into the Wolverine challenges, which basically puts you against yourself. And if you win, you'll unlock more Wolverine costumes. But even better, there was a really easy trophy tied to this that I got within seconds of starting. And all I had to do was lunge at Wolverine at the same exact time he lunged at me. Yeah, James Howlett! We got it! That was quick. It was now time for the hard mode playthrough of the game. The final roadblock I had to push through for Platinum. Now, X-Men Origins Wolverine does feature cheats that you could use to make Wolverine stronger and basically immortal. But if you know me, you know that's not how we roll here. So I had to take it on the hard way, but with a clear strategy in place that would hopefully lighten the load a bit. First, I worked on maxing out Wolverine's attack power, especially because the enemies and bosses here had a lot more health. Next was the Moodigans I used, and it came down to 3. Experience, so I could gain levels quicker, Art of War to raise my attack power based on my reflexes a bit, and Untouchable to raise my defense. Doing this made everything in the game super easy, up until the Deadpool fight, where I still struggled a lot in what would be my final boss fight for the coveted Platinum. Oh my god, I need to heal. No, 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 no. Oh, I almost botched that. Bro, what am I supposed to do with that? He's spamming it, and I'm too far to lunge. Did I do it? There we go. Walking Death and Platinum, baby. Done. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe and leave a like for more. Don't forget to comment down below which game you want to see me Platinum next, and be sure to follow me on Twitter to stay in the loop between uploads. I'll catch you all on the next video.